Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. That was a loud hey. I realized like sometimes I usually start off with like, hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe, but that was like a hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe. That was very, very, very loud. Anyways, let's try that again. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I do the hey. I think I've noticed this over time, but like I'm only just spending like 5 minutes focusing on this now. I just go with like a hey. It's a very sharp hey. Let's try to be a little chiller. Let's try to start this again. Hey, I'm Alex Rat. No, that doesn't feel right. Hey, I'm Alex Rat from Board Game Co. And this is going to be an unboxing and rambling of Kemet. If you are new to the channel, unboxing and ramblings are a format where I unbox a thing. Not surprisingly, it is an unboxing, but I also talk about whatever I want to talk about. Sometimes it's 85% the game, sometimes it's 94% the game, other times it's 22% the game. It is different video by video. But over here, we have the Kemet Big Box, and we're going to be unboxing and rambling. That's the other 6 to 75%, depending on the video, that we go ahead and dive into. I realized I didn't check if my top camera is where I want it to be, so we might have to go ahead and do that. Also, before we dive into this channel is sponsored by Allplay. If you go to allplay.com, you can find a variety of games, both from Allplay and their partner publishers. You can also find board game shelves, the board game table, board game bags, playmats, and more. Check it out at allplay.com. Kemet. Kemet over here is one of the first games I didn't really cover on the channel in that sense. I want to say I did a video way back in the early days comparing. I think I did, if I'm doing this right, if I'm recalling correctly, I did a Play This Not That between Kemet, Cyclades, and Inish way back when. I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. Now I'm going to check if I have, and if not, maybe I'll do a refreshed version, because honestly, since that video 6 years ago, there has been a new Kemet, a new Cyclades, and a new Inish. We've got the new versions of all those games because that's what happens in the board game space. Sometimes that camera is zoomed in a little too much. We'll zoom back in later. Sometimes you get new and innovative and fun things that constantly come out, and other times you get, you know, new versions of the same thing because it's a good way to sell people on stuff. And honestly, depending on the age of the campaign in question, sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes it is a bad thing. Sometimes it's commercialization and just trying to get you to buy new things. Other times it makes sense. Hey, 10 years have gone by, we can have a new version of Seven Wonders. How old is Kemet? I want to say Kemet was a 2015 title, but I could be mistaken and my phone is not on me, so we'll just have to figure it out. Anyways, we got our rulebooks. Let's go ahead. We got our box, we got our rulebooks. We'll come back to the box shortly. Let's take a look at the rulebooks. So Kemet, I played Kemet way back in the day. I don't remember the order that I got the games in, but I had a friend who said we should play Kemet, and so I played Kemet. And I love Kemet. Then I bought Kemet. Then I proceeded to try to teach everyone I know Kemet. I had one of my earlier game experiences, before I knew what I was doing, so to speak. I had friends who didn't play board games. Are these going to be in different languages, or are these going to be... These look like they're all English. Okay, these are the... Oh my gosh, I love this. This is like an all-in guide for, okay, we have our rulebook, first of all. We have our component guide sheet over here and a reboxing, which is great. But then we have these. These are nice because these are going to be a full listing of everything you need. Although I will say, in a matter of days here, we're going to have Kemet, the Gates of Thonis, or the Rise of Thonis, whatever it is. The new Kemet expansion is coming out. And I don't know if this is going to invalidate any of that. I don't think there are new pyramid power tiles. So I think we are currently at 7 sets of power tiles. We have the original 3. We have Ruby, Sapphire, and then I guess whatever blue is. What is blue? Blue is going to be not diamond. No, Ruby. Okay, so Ruby, which is offense, Sapphire, which is the blue ones, this is defense, and then Diamond are going to be economy. Then Onyx is a little bit of a mix of all 3. Amethyst, I don't even remember the nature. This is the last expansion that this is from. Had Amethyst, Amber, and then we also have the Emerald, which are the sacrificial tiles. And so we have all of these, 7 sets of tiles at this point, to mix and match to make your experience whatever you want. We have the battle cards, we have the gods, that's also part of the newest expansion, then we have the divine intervention cards. I love this. Having one of these for every player, this is so nice. I'm gonna have to look at my Kemet and see what I can throw out now as far as custom printed player aids. We have our guide over here, and then we have the rule book. Kemet's one of those games that is surprisingly easy to get into as far as the rules overhead. Is a lot of the interactions with like special tiles where you really need an FAQ that covers all the interactions, because that's where the nuance and the complexity comes in. And this is a new version of Kemet. I did a video way back when. I did a video covering the Kemet expansion that had the sacrificial tiles. Whatever it was. Because they were going to do a thing where they added these Cthulhu gods. And there were a bunch of people, a bunch of passionate backers, myself included, who were like, I don't want Cthulhu in my Kemet. And there were a lot of people who were like, what's wrong with Cthulhu in Kemet? That completely makes sense. And I understand both camps. But I definitely was in the camp that I was like, I don't need Cthulhu in everything. Stop putting Cthulhu in everything. Even though I really do like Cthulhu in the right things. So they kind of shifted up. They made 2 versions versions of the gods for those who want them. So if you back that, you have 2 different versions of the various gods. So we're gonna go through the content over here. Again, I'll cover what I cover over here, but I have to organize and sort and punch all this stuff. But these are gonna be like, you know, the various all-in, big box, all these things. Now Kemet is again, I covered Kemet way back when. I loved Kemet. I still love Kemet. Just that Kemet used to be, Kemet, Inish, and Cyclades used to all be in my top 20 games of all time. Cyclades and Inish are still there. Kemet has shifted out to within my top 100, but it's shifted down. And I think a big part of that, here's going to be your power tile trays to make your life a whole lot easier. Although why are there only 3 in here? This might be only the contents from the new power tile sets over here. But Kemet is one where Blood Rage kind of came in and took a lot of the spotlight from Kemet. And the reason for that is because they have very similar arcing ways that they structured. Both Kemet and Cyclades, Kemet and Blood Rage are very much focused on a combat-focused game in which you're going to be building up your asymmetry through the powers you develop. Now in Blood Rage, you're drafting those powers across 3 rounds. In Kemet, you're building up pyramids and buying progressively stronger and better power tiles. But both of them kind of fit into that similar arc as far as the gameplay experience you get as a, player. And because of that, Cyclades and Inish, which I think are far more unique and don't really have a comparable placement, they stayed strong, and Blood Rage took Kemet's spot in like, oh my gosh, how much I like this. That said, Blood Rage over 50 plus plays eventually became a little bit more, not stale, but less of the shine and the allure, allowing Kemet to jump back into a higher rankings as far as the gameplay experience. Although the flip side of that is we also have Blood Rage Valhalla coming, which I think that really elevates the Blood Rage experience, similar to the way that the power tiles, because there's this weird arc over here. We're going through history of games. Because Kemet, the original game, had 3 power tile structures. At a certain point, you had played out some of the nuances of how you're going to build. You're going to focus on defense, economy, offense, which combination you're going to focus in. After enough plays, you've experienced the various combinations, and you're good to go, so to speak. Here's just more cards. I'm not going to be going, honestly, I'll be showing you a lot of components to a degree, but I won't heavily be talking about all these things because we're just going to go on a rambling history lesson instead. So anyways, that's kind of where we are with Kemet. Kemet gets to a certain point where you've kind of played out the arcs. Then Blood Rage comes along. Blood Rage offers you drafting, so it's a little different. It's not an open display at all times. You're a little bit more victim to whatever cards come your way at any given point, and you still have to build up this, unique faction throughout the way you get your powers. But again, very similar general arcs to Kemet, just a different experience, and oh my gosh, I loved it. Enough time goes by, and I've seen the various combinations that Blood Rage has to offer, and now Kemet is currently saying, hey, those 3 sets of power tiles? We got more. We got this sacrificial set. We have these new sets in the gods one, the last expansion. And by this point, you have 7 sets. Oh, the black tiles. Oh, that's way back when. That was reincorporated in the deluxe version, but it's originally from an expansion. So now we have 7 different sets of combinations. You're playing a 3-player game. That's so many different sets. You're playing a 4-player game. You still mix and match in all these different ways. You have tons of variety to the various expansion tiles. Also, by the way, the new expansion, Rise of Thonus, does have a whole set that I forgot. There's a gold pyramid or something like that. Not a gold pyramid. There's a pyramid. There's a central pyramid. The crystal pyramid, which is kind of a central pyramid that no one owns, and you can go ahead and buy tiles from that if you take control of that tile. So we are going to have to figure out how that incorporates into the big box. I do think there's a room for it, because you see how I pulled this out? That means there's room for more content in this big box. I hope it all fits. We'll see how it plays out. But anyways, so now we're up to what? 7 sets of power tiles, plus a 8th set now because of the Gates of Thonus, the Rise of Thonus, whatever it is. That's going to give you tons of combinations, and so now Kemet is back on the rise as far as the variation of the experience you can have when you're building up your unique god factions. Enter Blood Rage Valhalla. Blood Rage Valhalla, which I believe is being released at Gen Con, if I'm not mistaken, feels very soon. I'm curious when backers are getting the games versus the retail copy. I don't know all that. I'm going to be paying attention, though, because, Gen Con's coming soon. But Rise of Valhalla. Not Rise of Valhalla, Rise of Thonus and Blood Rage Valhalla. Although we're gonna get an Assassin's Creed tangent over here soon as well. So over here we have here's gonna be our boxes for the various gods. Again, this is gonna allow you to store things, because this is like the big box storage over here for all the new content to be able to incorporate your existing Kemet content. I'm glad that I'm doing this as I go, because they have a guide. They have a guide of how to put it back. because we're going to have more of these over here, more of these various sets. But again, Valhalla comes along and Valhalla says, hey, you know how you've been getting bored of the exact same combinations? What if we change Blood Rage so that you can, instead of having a specific set of cards, you pick gods. You pick these gods, you incorporate their sets into the game, and so you're going to once again have variable experiences. More packs of these. And now, every time you play Blood Rage, you're having a different combination of which cards are available, similar to the power tile construct. Now, I have no idea if the games were looking at each other trying to mimic, you know, the experiences to make sure they're giving you as diverse as possible. I don't know what they're doing. I have no clue. But all I know is the end result is we have Valhalla is an excellent version of Blood Rage. So we're going to go ahead and open this over here and see what we got. Valhalla is an excellent version of Blood Rage. I know it got a lot of flack, especially for the map tile. Having played Valhalla, I think it's excellent. I think Blood Rage players will like Valhalla a lot. Your thoughts on Tycoon games aside, because there's lots of thoughts around Tycoon games, I think the actual gameplay experience of Valhalla is excellent. But I am curious. I'm curious to see if I'm right or if I'm rose-colored glasses, or not even rose-colored glasses, because there's a lot, we're going on tangents today, there's a lot of justified concern around influencer culture, and how much are people saying things are great because they're just either cult of the new, they want access to the newest, greatest games, so all that's a legitimate concern. Maybe I loved Valhalla because maybe it's just that I was, well, either I'm a shill, straight up, either I'm just a shill for Tycoon games. I didn't do sponsored content around Valhalla, I just played the game. But you know, hey, I still might be a shill, sponsored or not, I could still just be saying, hey, I really want access to all the fun, great games, and if I tell you the games are great, they'll keep giving me the games. That is a possibility, for sure. I don't think that's what's happening, but rose-colored glasses, I mean, there's two different lanes. There's the full-on, I just am going to shill for these games, but then there's the subconscious bias of just being more inclined to say nice things, not even thinking. I could think I'm the most genuine person ever, and I could still be tainted by that subconscious relationship, and I certainly am always tainted by wanting to be a nice person and help others. But I also have to be mindful of my viewers as well as my reputation, so I try to balance that as much as possible. But I do like being nice. I don't want to say this game's not great. I don't want to say that. I will, but I don't want to. But again, subconscious is subconscious. So maybe I have the rose-colored glasses of, I loved Valhalla, and then when it shows up, maybe I'll never play Valhalla. Maybe I won't care. Maybe I'll move on to the next thing. Maybe you'll play Valhalla and be like, what was this Board Game Co. guy talking about? Valhalla is a terrible, terrible experience. But I don't think it is. I think Blood Rage fans will like Valhalla. You want to be critical of the way the campaign was run? Sure. You want to be critical of the art on the original map? Absolutely. You want to be critical of the price point and the value? Totally. There's lots of things you can be critical of that I will not fight you on at all. But I think that the gameplay experience of Valhalla is excellent. I am curious what the reception will be from Blood Rage fans who are commenting on the gameplay experience, not other aspects. Like, you want to be critical of the, I think there was a lot of criticism. I didn't care, but if you did, there was a lot of criticism around these sculpts and whether they fit into a Viking theme or not. Sure, I'm not even going to argue with that. I happen to not care, which is interesting because going back to Kemet, I cared a lot when they were trying to put Cthulhu gods in here. But I think that's because I felt the this is definitely an unboxing and rambling. I felt the pushing of one theme into another, and I didn't like that. But honestly, when it comes to like general sculpts, unless I notice the discrepancy, I don't know if I care. Like, I did think the Chinese dragon in Massive Darkness was weird. I thought that was weird. By the way, there's a lot of things I'm talking about here that you might not know what I'm talking about, so that might go past your head. But Simon at one point put a Chinese dragon in Massive Darkness. It was a previously used sculpt from an existing game. They wanted to use it because that other game didn't happen, and so we had a Chinese dragon in Massive Darkness that felt out of place. I didn't lose sleep over it, but I certainly felt it was weird. But the Cthulhu gods in Kemet bothered me more. The Chinese dragon, I saw the disconnect, and it bothered me a little bit. And with Valhalla, I didn't see the disconnect. You want to tell me they're not the right fit? Sure, I didn't notice. So I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying I didn't care. But again, the gameplay experience, I think, will deliver. I am curious. That's kind of where we are with Valhalla. So try it out. If you're a Blood Rage fan, try it out. Anyways, here's going to be our God tiles over here, and here's going to be our God box over here. So we got to show you some miniatures. So, miniatures over here. We're going to do a camera zoom in for this over here, so we can show you as much as possible. These are some nice size miniatures. Honestly, they're a little Simon adjacent. Maybe a little less so on the detail. Yeah, the detail is definitely a little less so than what I'm expecting from Simon, but this does feel like it could be from Ankh. This feels like it could be very from you know, oh my gosh, look at this. This is like a little bit, there's a way to straighten this. You want to, I think, if I recall correctly, you want to heat it and then straighten it and then set it in cold water, if I recall correctly. So there's things you could do if you're bothered by that. I am bothered by it. Am I bothered enough to do something? That is a different story. Because I think whenever I see miniatures like that where it's about the miniature type, by the way. I think this miniature material, I'm not an expert in this, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I think some miniature material is a little more prone to snapping. This is more prone to bending. The downside is you get that wobbly effect unless you heat it and then straighten it. So definitely on some of them, I think so far I can see it a little bit on all of them, but only that one is bothering me enough where I'm like, do I do something or do I not? Over here we have more of this. Okay, we got another one of our gods over here. I don't remember the Egyptian gods, but there's a snake one, the snakehead one. Is that Anubis? I can't remember. Set? I don't remember the gods. I apologize. I'm sure the names are somewhere, but I don't know what they are offhand. Anyways, we have our last one over here. This one as well. Again, like the material is definitely very, you know, it's very, again, I can't remember the name. If you know the name of the various plastics, let me know. Educate the viewers down below. I don't know. Oh, this way this bends on the back. So this over here, it doesn't bother me per se, but like the staff that's going this way up here, which should go that way across our back, kind of, you don't really notice it at first, because this looks fine, and this looks fine. But when you realize that this should go straight like that, that bothers me a little bit. Maybe I'll fix it, maybe I won't. Again, I've never actually done it. I just know that there's a way to do it, and I haven't chosen to do that yet. Now, how do these go here? Does this go like that? I guess it just goes like that. Okay, we're gonna see if this goes down on top. No, that feels wrong. I think if we do like this, it's better maybe. But that's why that is like that. I'm trying to figure out how this goes back in the box. I apologize. Give me a second. So I'll show you what I'm doing over here so you can see. This goes in there like that. This goes in there like that. So we have those there. Then I have some of these can fit in here, like so. And then I can put another one, I guess. And then, oh, maybe if I have to do it like this. No, that can't be right. So it must be 4. And then if I do it across the top, it kind of works. That's just like minimizes the lift from that. That works enough. I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but it works enough. Which means we can now put these all back in the box. So over here we have this big box here. I'm not going to build the zooming out for a second because that's going to go on this side. Then we have our 3 god packs on this side. And then we're going to put another 3 god packs on this side. So again, it's just kind of, I should probably zoom out a bit. You know what? After all that said and done, I am going to zoom out because I realize we are going to want to show you the next layer in a second. So that's the layer over here. We're going to put all the things back in. This goes back in here. This goes back in. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That goes in like that. All these various things go back in here, which I'll punch and organize later, but I'm not going to do so now. Our various player aids go up on top over here, probably that away. And then we're going to put this over here. And there we go. There's our box top. But there's 2 layers, because now we get to the next layer over here, where we have all the various punch board tiles of things. Here's going to be our various new tiles, which again I'm going to have to inlay into those into the tile holders you saw. And then we have our various faction boxes. And again, this is not all in Kemet. This is like the big box storage for all the extra things. Because I already have Kemet. I just need to organize all the Kemet and put it into this big box stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and start taking the various boxes and showing you what's in them, because I don't even know how many of these are empty versus how many are not empty. So we got some monsters over here, so we'll show you these. Where was I with the whole Kemet? I think I talked about Kemet. I talked about influencer culture to a small degree. Assassin's Creed. So this is just a random note over here. So there's 2 aspects to this. First of all, I'm trying to think which way I want to go with these things. Let's talk Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed, my kids have been playing Assassin's Creed. They've been getting into it recently, which is, my kids in general have been playing more, I want to use the word adult video games, but I just mean like more open world, bigger box experiences, things outside Minecraft. They've been doing more of that. Let me zoom in and drop more over here. And so Assassin's Creed, they started to dabble in. One of my sons just finished Origins. Another one's playing Syndicate right now. Another one is playing Odyssey. I've been playing Odyssey. And so because one of my sons finished Origins, he's like, what other one should I dive into? And so I showed him Ragnarok. Is it called Ragnarok? No, it's called... The Ragnarok's the expansion. It's called Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And so then my son, my youngest son, was like, wait, I know Valhalla. And I was like, yes, you do, because I told you that Blood Rage Valhalla is coming, and he likes playing with the miniatures in Blood Rage, so he's very excited for Blood Rage Valhalla. So then he proceeds to tell his mother that, oh my gosh, Assassin's Creed copied a board game. And then I had to instruct him about, you know, general Norse mythology, about how they are you know, just coming from Valhalla as a general mythology. But so, suffice to say, he's very excited. I told him that Blood Rage Valhalla will be coming at Gen Con, which is like in a month, so he's excited for that. We'll be diving into that as soon as we can. And that's kind of the little Assassin's Creed sideline. The other part, which is a little... I'm trying to think how much to say about this, because I'll tell you what I said. So, I watched a video. There's a guy on YouTube. His name is Drew Gooden. Okay, so first of all, to all you Drew Gooden fans out there, yes, I watched Drew as well, and I think he's fantastic. To all of you who have not watched Drew, I recommend watching Drew. I think he's fantastic. But anyways, it's always fun. I find it's fun when you're watching a content creator, and you find out they have similar tastes in something that you never knew about. They like that book that you like. They enjoy that food that you like. They watch that creator that you like as well. They've been following that TV show. Whatever it is. I just started watching Widow's Bay, by the way. So far I like it, but I'm only halfway into the first episode. Here's going to be our various pyramids over here. I'm not going to go into this a lot. Anyways, Drew Gooden. So recently, I watched a video from Drew Gooden talking about the music industry. I love Drew's essays, so to speak. I think they're great. They're lots of fun. His content can range from educational to very informational to entertainment, but they're all fun. They're all fun. I went from educational to informational, which is arguably the same thing. But anyways, so Drew Gooden did a 45-minute long video. I think maybe it's even longer. A long video on the music industry. And I really enjoyed it, but it talks about the three-pronged aspect of why the music industry is very hard on artists. And the three prongs were effectively, prong number one was that Spotify is basically trying to screw over artists, there's a lot of ways that they try to screw artists out of the commission. One of the ways is the rise of AI music. Apparently something like 35% of music streamed on Spotify recently has been like AI generated music, which is really like, sucky. And it's just like, there's a lot that goes into the video. I'm not going to try to video justice, but there's a lot that goes into his video where he's talking about the nature of AI music, how to infiltrate into various aspects of the Spotify playlists, how there's a focus on like background music. So background music, you can run a background track for hours and not think about it, but then that really good song you'll listen to for 2 minutes. So there's a whole lot of interesting aspects that go into hacking the Spotify game in a way that, honestly, not that dissimilar from board games or anything else. A lot of times the nature of quality is compromised to the nature of how to most efficiently make money. Even in board games, because of the fact that we're so primed to play a lot of games, a game that will show its brilliance after 7 plays, and then after that you'll be hooked, is not a good way to make board games, because people will play it once or twice and be like, it's not good, and move on to the other game. So you have to make a game that hooks you from the beginning, and then hopefully it also shows its brilliance after 7 plays so you can keep it. It's complicated. We unfortunately have to create to sell, and not just create to what will be the best product. Because, if the best product that nobody actually plays is not a good product. Anyways, there's a lot that goes into it, but the part that's relevant here is, I'll talk about the three prongs. The three prongs were how labels screw artists, how live music screws artists, live performance and the nature of, Ticketmaster and all that stuff, how that screws artists, and then how Spotify screws artists, part of which is focused around AI music and how prevalent it is. Anyways, I was showing this video to a friend, and they were like, I'm canceling my Spotify subscription, which I get. I'm an Amazon Music subscriber. I don't know if that's any better, but that's just what I am. These boxes, I believe, are empty just to store the various factions. So I think I'm just going to go through these very quickly, which means the unboxing's almost over and I'm not done talking. Empty, empty, empty. Yeah, these are all the various faction boxes. They're all empty over here. So I'm kind of done with all the stuff. I've opened the unboxing. This is all the new stuff for Kemet. Ta-da! I'm going to organize it later and organize that big box and figure it all out, but I'm kind of done. So anyways, let's end with everything I'm talking about over here. So what happened is that after all this, after showing this to my friend, after being very, not inspired, but almost depressed by the video, my son comes to me and says, hey, there's this great song I've been listening. He doesn't say it like that. What he really says is, Abba, play Raise the Banners by Laga. Okay, I tried to find on Amazon Music Raise the Banners, couldn't find it, or at least not by the artist he was saying. Went to YouTube Music, found it, started playing it, and I was like, I like the song. There's a good beat to it. Then I watched the video for the song, and I was like, oh, this video is AI. And then I was like, wait a second, if the video is AI, maybe the music's AI too. I went to the comments, and everyone's like, yeah, this is an AI music channel. And I really liked the song. It's called Raise the Banners by Laga. I think I listened to a few other tracks from them, and the problem is, there's good news and bad news. There's so many levels of good news and bad news. I liked the song, first of all. Then I found it's AI and felt dirty for, thinking it was a good song. Because I think, we've talked a little bit about AI on the channel. I have very mixed feelings about AI. I think the rise of tons of generative AI content is ultimately creating a slop ecosystem. I think you could have good AI content in between, and that's such a complicated conversation to navigate. I remember seeing a post recently where someone's like, this artist I really like just put out this game, but this looks like AI slop. And so, I'm confused. I think he's using AI. And they're just like, no, it's all me. It's not AI. And so we're in this weird paradigm where people say, oh, you can always tell AI is slop. But then very often we can't tell if it's slop. And so then we start going on witch hunts, attacking people who are putting out actual art, and we're simultaneously telling you how obvious things are AI, while it's not obvious. I saw a post recently where somebody had shared a I'm going to say Van Gogh, but it wasn't the Van Gogh, it was some other artist. They shared a lesser-known art piece from an artist and said, I told AI to generate this, piece in the style of Van Gogh and tell me how this is inferior to Van Gogh. And there were tons of comments being like, oh, you can obviously tell the lack of spirit, you can see the shading here. There were tons of comments telling how obviously it was utter garbage and it wasn't real. But the person posting it had lied. They had posted a lesser-known work by Van Gogh. Again, the artist wasn't Van Gogh, but they were trying to show, like, we have this bias towards saying we can always tell AI is garbage, but then we actually can't. We often don't know when something is AI when it isn't. When it is, and we will often attack things for being AI when it isn't. So there's lots of interesting conversations to have around AI, and again, as an overall, I think generative AI, I think has lots of potential pros, but it's causing huge disruption and damage to the industry. All of that is an aside. I can do 17 videos on AI and probably be hated for everything I say by different camps of people within it. I think my feelings around AI content are just very nuanced, and I feel very mixed about different aspects of it. But either way, when it comes to this particular song, I definitely felt dirty after for it, and yeah, you can listen to it if you want, but that was just more Viking themed stuff that was relevant here. Because then, before I realized it was AI, I was saying, oh, you should play this while playing with Valhalla, because it's very Viking themed, and then whatever. Anyways, we've run out of time. We've done a whole unboxing at this point. This is Kemet. Kemet, the new content for Kemet. There will be more content for Kemet because I'll be doing a playthrough and probably a review for the new Gates of Thonis or Rise of Thonis. I cannot remember which one is which, but it's one of those two things, Gates or Rise. I will have content for you around that as well. There's a whole new map. There's a whole new crystal tiles. I'm very intrigued to dive into it. I will probably play with like base Kemet, not with the gods. So it's going to be base Kemet rules. I'll figure out which power sets to use, and then we'll go from there. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Rack from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.